This is how normal people torch 5, 6, sometimes low 7 figures of net worth, not because the market crashed, but because they ignored a red flag they could see the whole time. These are the investing red flags I cannot ignore anymore, and once you see them, you can't unsee them either. I've lost $8,000 on a stock a guy in a group chat swore was about to run because his cousin worked there. I've lost $40,000 actual post-tax money on a pre-IPO deal that I couldn't have explained to you in 2 sentences if you'd paid me to. And I've had years since where I've built real, boring, compounding wealth because I finally learned to spot the pattern before it cost me anything instead of after. Here's the thing, this isn't a video about avoiding all risk. Risk is fine. Risk is actually required if you want to build real money, okay? Zero risk is how you stay broke slowly instead of getting rich. This is about a very specific, very avoidable set of patterns that don't add risk, they just quietly transfer your money to someone else. Every single one of these has cost real people real money, and every single one of them was visible the entire time if they'd known what to look for. And the earlier you learn to spot these, the more of your capital actually stays invested and compounding instead of getting wiped out and rebuilt from zero. Because rebuilding from zero is the single most expensive thing you can do with your 20s or 30s. I don't care if you're investing $200 a month out of your first paycheck or you've got 300 grand sitting in a brokerage account right now. This applies to you exactly the same. 7 red flags. No fluff. No just do your own research cop-out that tells you nothing. Real, specific, name it when you see it patterns. Before we get into it, comment the worst investment you personally ever made. The dollar number, what it actually was. No judgment. I promise you, whatever it is, I've either done it myself or watched someone close to me do it. There's no right or wrong number here. Just be honest. Because half of learning this stuff is realizing you're not the only idiot who fell for it. Myself very much included. Red flag number 1. Anyone promising you a guaranteed return, especially a high one. The second someone says guaranteed, risk-free, or can't lose, you say thank you and you walk away. Every legitimate investment on earth has some version of this could go down, because that's literally what makes it an investment instead of a bank deposit. The specific version of this that gets people is the steady 10 to 15% a month pitch, usually wrapped in forex trading, crypto arbitrage, or some AI trading bot. Do the math on that out loud for a second. 12% a month compounded is over 290% a year. If that existed and were legal and repeatable, the person pitching it to you in a Discord server wouldn't need your $2,000. They'd own a hedge fund. That math never survives contact with a calculator, and that's exactly why they're counting on you not doing it. Red flag number 2. Pressure and urgency. Only 3 spots left. Doors close at midnight. Get in before the public round. Real investment opportunities do not expire in 48 hours, and they definitely don't need you to wire money at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday to lock in your allocation. Urgency is a sales tactic, full stop. It exists to shut off the part of your brain that would otherwise go do 10 minutes of research and find the thing that kills the deal. I've watched a friend put $15,000 into a real estate fund because the guy running it said the round closed in 6 hours. 18 months later, no distributions, no statements, and a phone number that doesn't ring anymore. If it's real, it'll still be real next week after you've slept on it. Red flag number 3. You cannot explain in 2 sentences how the thing actually makes money. Not it's disrupting an industry. Not everyone's getting into it. I mean the actual literal mechanism, who pays whom, for what, and why that number goes up. If you can't do that, you are not investing, you are gambling with extra steps, and you're relying entirely on the next person being dumber than you were. That's the whole model behind most meme coins, most next Amazon penny stocks, and half of the multi-level marketing investment opportunities that get pitched at family barbecues. If the founder, the influencer, or your uncle can't explain the revenue model without using the word ecosystem 4 times, that's your answer. Red flag number 4. Fees you can't find or can't explain. This one's quieter than the others, but it adds up to more lost money over a lifetime than almost anything else on this list. A mutual fund with a 1.5% expense ratio versus an index fund at 0.03% doesn't sound like a big gap year to year, but run that over 30 years on a $200,000 portfolio and you are talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in the difference, just quietly siphoned off in fees you never noticed because they never show up as a line item on a statement, they just show up as a smaller number at the end. Same goes for 2 and 20 style structures on private deals, loaded annuities your uncle's insurance guy is way too excited about, and any advisor who gets cagey when you ask directly what they're charging you. If you have to ask twice, that's the answer. And this is actually a good spot to mention, this is exactly the kind of thing I go through with people one-on-one. Because most of this stuff is genuinely hard to catch on your own the first few times, especially the fee structures, they're built to be missed. If you want an actual second pair of eyes on what you're currently holding before it costs you anything, I do a limited number of calls a month for that. Links below, no pressure. Only book it if it actually makes sense for where you're at. Red flag number 5, putting a huge chunk of your net worth into one single thing because you're close to it. This is your friend's startup. This is I work at this company so I know it's good. I'm putting my whole 401k in company stock. This is the guy who put $40,000, me by the way, that's my $40,000, into a pre-IPO company because someone I trusted vouched for it. And I never once asked what happened to your money if the company simply never goes public, which is what happened. Concentration isn't automatically wrong. Some of the biggest fortunes in history came from concentrated bets, but concentration in something you're emotionally close to, where you can't be objective, where you'll ignore red flags 1 through 4 because you want it to be true. That specific combination is what wrecks people. A rough rule that saved me since, nothing outside of my house and my main index positions gets more than 5% of my net worth. Full stop, no exceptions, no matter how good the story is. Red flag number 6, chasing what already went up. Buying because it's up 40% this month, because it's trending. Because your feed is full of people posting screenshots of gains. By the time an investment is famous, the easy money is already gone and you're buying from the people who got in early and are now selling to you. This is the entire life cycle of every meme stock and every crypto pump you've watched happen in real time, huge run, everyone piles in at the top because of FOMO. Then it gives back 80% of the move and the people who bought last are the only ones still holding when the group chat goes quiet. If the reason you're buying something is everyone's talking about it, that's not a thesis, that's a crowd, and crowds are usually the last ones in. Red flag number 7, you don't understand when or how you can get your money back out. Lockup periods, illiquid private funds, real estate syndications with a 5 to 7 year hold you didn't fully clock when you signed, crypto staked in a protocol with a 90-day unbonding period. None of that is automatically bad, but if you don't know the exit before you're in, you will find out the exit exists exactly when you need the money most, which is usually the worst possible timing. Because that's when everyone else wants out too. Ask the liquidity question before you invest $1, not after. And here's the hardest one, and it's not actually about spotting a red flag in somebody else's pitch, it's about spotting the one in the mirror. It's holding on to a bad investment specifically because admitting you were wrong feels worse than losing more money. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's the sunk cost fallacy dressed up as conviction. I held that $40,000 pre-IPO position for almost 2 years after I already had every reason to know it was dead. Because selling it and eating the loss meant admitting out loud that I'd screwed up, and my ego cared more about being right than my bank account cared about being whole. The people who actually build wealth are the ones who can look at a position, admit I was wrong. This isn't coming back, and move on in the same week, not the ones who need to be vindicated 3 years later to finally let go. So quick recap, guaranteed returns, artificial urgency, not understanding the actual business model, hidden or unclear fees, dangerous concentration in things you're emotionally attached to, chasing what already ran, not knowing your exit before you're in, and last, refusing to admit you were wrong and get out. Those are the 7, plus the 8th one that's really about you, not the pitch. Zoom out for a second on why any of this actually matters. Money that doesn't get wiped out by one of these red flags just keeps compounding, quietly, boringly, in the background. A dollar that survives to stay invested for 30 years at a normal market return does the vast majority of the heavy lifting for your retirement, way more than almost anything you actively do with your money in any given year. The red flags on this list aren't dramatic. They're not stock market crashes. They're not recessions. They're small, quiet, individual decisions that either protect that compounding or blow a hole straight through it. Avoiding one of these once can be worth more over your lifetime than a decade of picking good stocks. And look, I get the appeal of the shortcut, the Discord alpha group, the guy who's up 900% on some coin nobody's heard of, the signals channel that costs $49 a month and promises to make you a day trading legend. I'll just say it plainly, something like 90% of day traders lose money over any multi-year period. That's not a guess. That's been measured over and over. The red flags on this list exist precisely because the shortcut almost never actually works. And the people selling you the shortcut know that better than you do. If you made it this far, I know some of this stings a little, because most of us have a version of one of these 7 sitting in our portfolio right now. That's fine. Go look at it honestly this week. I want to see you actually keep the money you make instead of handing it to somebody with a better pitch than planned. We'll see you in the next one.